Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to ThinkStep's webinar on the very important topic of the WEEE Recast Directive Open Scope and how this will apply to all types of products sold in Europe from the 15th of August 2018. Just before we start, to let you know that time permitting, there will be opportunity to ask questions at the end of the presentation by typing them into your webinar toolbox. Please bear in mind, though, that we have nearly 100 companies attending this webinar, so we will try to answer as many questions as the time allows at the end of the presentation. If there are any unanswered questions, we will then endeavour to provide our answers to the participant at an appropriate opportunity after today's webinar. Also, to let you know that there will be a recording of this webinar available on ThinkStep's EC4P website, www.ec4p.com, in the coming days. Okay, so some quick introductions. Who have we got speaking today? Well, for those of you who don't know me, my name's Howard Stimpson, and I'm a Senior Manager at ThinkStep's Recycling Compliance Business Unit. I've been providing expert consulting to manufacturers on EU and rest of the world WEEE batteries, packaging and RoHS compliance for the last 14 years, and have helped many hundreds of manufacturers in this time to understand their producer responsibility legal exposure and to then implement robust, legally compliant strategies for product sales. I'm also joined today by my colleague James Pearson, Product Manager at ThinkStep for the last 5 years, who during today's webinar will be demonstrating our unique web reporting tool, Environmental Compliance for Products, or EC4P. Now, EC4P has been developed to allow companies to guarantee their WEEE batteries and packaging compliance across the world, including EU member states and EFTA countries. So to give you an overview of today's webinar, well, firstly, I'd like to spend a bit of time introducing my company ThinkStep and give you some information about who we are, our managed WEEE batteries and packaging compliance service, and our industry experience over the past 15 years. Then I'll provide a review of the WEEE Recast Directive, and in particular the compliance requirements for producers of electrical and electronic equipment. Now, during this discussion, I'll also explain how the WEEE Recast Directive, which currently applies to the 10 product categories that I'm sure many of you are familiar with, will be moving to an open scope with six new product reporting categories from the 15th of August 2018. Now, what this means is that all items of electrical and electronic equipment will be falling in scope of the WEEE Recast Directive from the 15th of August 2018. And the only time that items of equipment will not fall under scope will be if the function of the equipment is covered by one of the application exclusions. We'll then explore what is happening in case study countries, looking at Germany with a transition to WEEE Open Scope during 2018, and studying some of the key dates and actions which producers must take in order to comply to the WEEE regulations in this country. We also have the examples of Austria and Italy to look at to see how the WEEE Open Scope is being phased into effect, and I can share with you some examples of particular products which have already fallen into scope from January 2018, and also those which will be falling into scope from August 2018. I'll then pass you over to my colleague James, who will demonstrate how ThinkStep's web reporting tool EC4P is being used by manufacturers to report equipment sales data to the correct open scope reporting categories from August 2018. The EC4P system is therefore used by producers to guarantee their WEEE as well as batteries and packaging compliance, not only in Europe, but across the world. And of course, as we mentioned, there should be opportunity at the end of the webinar to answer questions which have been posted into the webinar toolbox. Okay, so a little information about ThinkStep. Well, for those of you who have not heard of us before, we're a global sustainability software consultancy employing 250 sustainability experts across 19 countries, serving more than 2,000 companies. And that includes 40% of the global Fortune 500 relying on a compliant software solution provided by ThinkStep. Along with ThinkStep's EC4P recycling compliance services, and bomb check web database to manage lists of restricted and declarable substances, you'll probably have heard of ThinkStep for its lifecycle analysis software Gabi, and possibly for its enterprise sustainability performance software for EHS, energy and carbon management reporting, known as SOFI. Now, ThinkStep's modular solutions for product compliance management are designed to integrate with Siemens' product lifecycle management software Teamcenter, which enables design for compliance across the entire product lifecycle. If you don't know, Siemens Teamcenter is the world's most widely used PLM system, and managing compliance within Teamcenter enables companies to integrate environmental data with their product data at each phase of the product development process, whilst at the same time being able to leverage key PLM capabilities. Now, this integrated approach with Siemens Teamcenter leads right through to product end of life and compliance management, with global WEEE batteries and packaging recycling using our EC4P platform, which we'll be showing you today. Now, from our office in the Southwest United Kingdom, we provide our full range of managed WEEE batteries and packaging outsource services, which ensures companies meet their obligations for producer registration, take-back, recycling and reporting. Our industry experience in the field of producer responsibility, and specifically WEEE, dates right back to 2003 when we wrote the UK government guidelines for RoS and WEEE. In 2005, we launched our pan-European web-based WEEE compliance services to assist manufacturers of B2B or professional use equipment to manage WEEE collection and recycling arrangements. In 2007, we were the first organisation in the UK to gain authorisation from the UK government to operate a licensed producer compliance scheme for WEEE, known as B2B WEEE scheme. And in 2009, we launched our managed services for integrated WEEE batteries and packaging compliance, and this extended in 2013 to cover the rest of the world countries. And then in 2014, we developed and launched our web reporting tool EC4P for manufacturers to gather and manage WEEE batteries and packaging compliance reporting data in Europe, EFTA countries, and the rest of the world. Okay, so with the introductions over, let's move on to the main topic of discussion today, the WEEE Recast Directive Open Scope. So firstly, let's spend a little bit of time on a quick recap of the EU WEEE Recast Directive. Well, the Recast Directive requires producers to register and provide for financing of collection and recycling of WEEE and reporting WEEE compliance data. As an environmental directive, there are differences in how it's implemented and enforced across member states. And it applies the first time a product is placed on the market in each EU member state. Under the WEEE Recast, your company is classed as a WEEE producer if you're located in a member state and you manufacture and sell equipment under your own brand in that member state. If you're located in the member state and you resell equipment under your own brand. If you're located in the member state and you import and sell another company's branded equipment. Or finally, if you sell equipment by means of distance communication directly to end users in the member state. That includes household and professional end users, and you're located in another country. If you're classed as a WEEE producer in a particular member state, then your company must meet certain compliance obligations. And what does that include? Well, you have to ensure your products are marked with a crossed out wheelie bin symbol. You need to register your company with the WEEE regulatory authority or a compliance scheme in that country. You have to report the tons of new products which fall in scope of WEEE, which are sold in that country in a correct reporting category. You have to finance collection and transport of waste products to an approved WEEE recycler, as well as finance waste product recycling to meet WEEE directive targets. You also have to report the tons of waste product recycled in that country. And then finally, if requested, you also have to provide product recycling instructions to recyclers and disassembly facilities. Now, currently, products are classed as in scope of the WEEE regulations if they're dependent on an electrical current to fulfill their basic function. Each product which falls in scope must fall into one of the 10 product categories specified in Annex 1 of the WEEE Recast Directive. However, things are changing. From the 15th of August 2018, the existing 10 product category scope will be replaced with a new 6 product category scope listed under Annex 3 of the WEEE Recast Directive. And this includes temperature exchange equipment, screens, monitors, and equipment containing screens which have a surface area greater than 100 square centimetres, lamps, large equipment, and by that, that's equipment with any external dimension greater than 50 centimetres, small equipment, and that's equipment with no external dimension greater than 50 centimetres, and then finally small IT and telecoms equipment, so equipment with no external dimension greater than 50 centimetres. And as has always been under the existing 10 product category scope, it will remain the WEEE producer's responsibility to correctly determine in which category their products falls into. Now the new 6 product category scope is also referred to as an open scope. Open scope means that the equipment can only be out of scope of the WEEE Recast Directive if it falls under one of the exclusions explicitly mentioned in Article 2 of the WEEE Recast Directive. Now, this includes any equipment designed exclusively for military purposes or sent into space, large-scale stationary industrial tools, equipment specifically designed and installed to large-scale fixed installations, or other equipment which is excluded from the WEEE Directive, filament bulbs, means of transport for persons or goods excluding electric two-wheel vehicles which are not type approved, non-road mobile machinery exclusively for professional use, equipment specifically designed for research and development, and medical devices and in vitro diagnostic medical devices where these are expected to become effective prior to end of life, and also active implantable medical devices. So if the product relies on a supply of electricity to function, and it's not specifically exempt under one of these listed here, it must fall into one of the new 6 product categories. So what this means is that now with open scope, producers will find that products that were previously classed as out of scope of WEEE now will be falling in scope from the 15th of August 2018. Now, if we look at electricity generators, this is a good example of how this is taking place. So combustion engine powered equipment, such as electricity generators, do not use electricity as their primary energy source. Therefore, many EU member states, including France and Italy, never class them as in scope under the old 10 product categories in Annex WEEE of the WEEE Recast Directive. However, from the 15th of August, the open scope will classify electricity generators as in scope of WEEE because they're not specified in the list of exemptions included in Article 2 that we've just looked at. Now, as you're probably aware, each EU member state is handling the implementation and the transition to open scope somewhat differently. While some countries have actually brought forward the change to open scope so that it came into effect from 1st of January this year, some are actually delaying the introduction of open scope until the 1st of January next year. So this map shows the current transition to open scope in each EU member state along with EFTA countries, where we're awaiting confirmation on exactly how product open scope may be implemented to these countries' national WEEE regulations. Okay, so let's spend some time now focusing on how some specific EU member states are implementing product open scope into their national WEEE regulations. So let's start with Germany and the WEEE regulations in this country, which are known as Electro-G. So we've seen a recent amendment to the WEEE Act coming into force in 2018, and this means that product open scope will apply from the 15th of August 2018 as per the WEEE Recast Directive. Now, also like the WEEE Recast Directive, All electrical and electronic equipment will fall within the scope of Electro-G unless explicitly excluded by the same statutory exemptions included in Article 2 of the WEEE Recast Directive, which we previously just looked at, and these again are listed below. At the same time, the old 10 product categories included in Annex 1 of the WEEE Recast Directive will be replaced by the 6 new product categories which are included in Annex 3 of the WEEE Recast Directive. So here are the old 10 product categories, and here we have the 6 new product categories. Under the old 10 product categories, the German WEEE regulations split these up further into 32 device types. Now, for the 6 new product categories in Germany, these are in turn being split up into 17 further device types. And how does that look? Well, the German WEEE authorities are assigning the 17 device type categories in this way shown in this table. And we can see that the new product category on the left and the corresponding device type category on the right. And as we'll see shortly, it's under one of the new 17 device type categories that products must be registered and start to be reported during 2018. Okay, so let's now think about the timeline in Germany for the transition to open scope and explore what the key actions and deadlines are for producers this year. Well, the first compliance action is already upon us. So if you're selling products in Germany which now fall under open scope, when previously they were not covered by one of the old 10 product categories, well, the German WEEE authorities register has been open since the 1st of May to register these products under one of the new 17 device types. If we move forward to the 15th of August, this is the deadline that the registration of new products which now fall under the open scope under one of the new 17 device types must be completed. Now, you might be wondering what needs to happen to any existing product registrations which are already registered under one of the old 10 product categories in Germany. Well, any existing registrations will be automatically assigned to one of the new 17 device types, and this will start taking place on the 26th of October. And here are just some of the examples. Some examples of some of the old 32 device types, and we've included on this table both business-to-business and business-to-consumer products, and how they will be assigned to one of the new 17 device types from 15th of August 2018. And this isn't an exhaustive list, it's just to give you some indication of how the device types are being assigned. And somewhat helpfully, the German WEEE authorities, Stiftung EAR, even provides an online simulator where, if you have an existing product registration with your company, you can see to which of the new 17 device types your existing device type registration is going to be assigned. Okay, so if we go back to our timeline for 2018, well, producers must review any assigned product registrations and request from the German WEEE authorities any changes which need to be made. The transfer period to the new 17 device types for existing product registrations will be ending on the 15th of November. And then if you sell B2C products, well, from the 1st of December, a change in the WEEE collection group designations at local WEEE collection sites to reflect the move to the 6 new product categories will also be coming into effect. Now, the German WEEE regulations are allowing a transition period up to the end of 2018. So by this time, all correct registrations have to be completed. Now, from this time, so from January next year, if a particular product is not registered or it's registered in the wrong category, it cannot be legally sold in Germany. Now, just something to think about. According to the German WEEE register, there are currently 39,000 product registrations, which must be reviewed and updated. And currently, the processing time for the German WEEE authorities is between 12 and 15 weeks for each registration. So my take-home message to you, if you're selling products into Germany, you really do need to be starting to take action now. Okay, so we've taken some time to look at the situation in Germany. Now let's take a brief look at how open scope is being introduced in Austria and Italy. So starting with Italy, well, the Italian WEEE regulations already started to phase in previously out of scope products. And from the 1st of January this year, the regulations were extended to also include inverters, gas electric meters, UPSs, and video surveillance, security and access control systems, intercoms, and video door entry systems. And from the 15th of August in Italy, we moved to fully open scope. So, for example, the WEEE regulators have advised that the following products from this time will now be covered under WEEE in Italy. So we've got electric generators, electric cables, pumps and compressors, electronic bikes, e-bikes, drones, electric motors and panels, and adapters, antennas, power supplies and switches. So if you're selling these products in Italy, well, from the 15th of August, you need to ensure there is a registered WEEE producer for the sales that are taking place. In Austria, we see that the transition is more straightforward, with a single deadline of the 15th of August when open scope will be applying. Again, by way of example, the WEEE regulators have advised that the following products will now be covered under WEEE in Austria from the 15th of August. So we have bathroom products, that include shower enclosures with digital temperature controls and mirror cabinets with integral lighting. Sales display related products, so mirror cabinets, showroom and display furniture with lighting. Any product whose main function relies on electrical energy, so examples such as electric locks, safes, lockers, keyrings with light or sound functions, credit cards with RFID chips, and smart cards containing batteries. We also have plugs, connectors, and cables coming into scope, as well as power adapters. And for cables, that includes any cable sold on the reel by the meter. And then we also have valves such as magnetic, blocking, and flow valves that also will be falling into scope. Okay, so we've taken some time to look at the move to product open scope in Europe in 2018. Specifically, we've had a look at Germany as well as Italy and Austria. Well, what services does my team provide to help manufacturers to manage and maintain their global WEEE plus batteries and packaging compliance arrangements? That obviously includes all 28 EU member states and EFTA countries. Well, we manage the whole process of implementing and maintaining WEEE batteries and packaging compliance arrangements for the manufacturer. And that includes submitting producer registrations, joining the manufacturer to our recommended recycling scheme, reporting equipment sales data through our web reporting platform EC4P, which James will shortly demonstrate, and even paying any registration and recycling fees on your behalf. And we simply invoice you at cost for these fees. Now, what happens if your company may already have existing WEEE batteries and packaging compliance arrangements in place? Well, we can carry out an audit of these arrangements, really to advise whether they are legally compliant in each country, but also to confirm whether or not you're getting best value at lowest cost in each country. Wherever we identify that there are gaps in compliance or that there are more cost-effective arrangements that you can implement, we can manage these compliance upgrades where we identify them. Now, conversely, if your company has no WEEE batteries or packaging compliance arrangements in place, well, then our team of experts will assess your company's legal obligations, and then we can provide robust compliance strategies in order for you to manage your WEEE batteries and packaging compliance obligations, not only in EU member states and EFTA countries, but also across the globe. We can then implement our recommended WEEE batteries and packaging compliance arrangements in each country on your behalf. And this includes calculating your company's WEEE batteries and packaging recycling obligation for product sales on a country-by-country basis. And we can compare the registration and recycling fees you would pay by comparing different schemes in each country. So in the EU, we have over 330 compliance schemes alone, which we monitor and track the compliance fees for. We can report your product sales in the correct reporting format in each country through our EC4P platform. And as I've said, if appropriate, we can pay any registration and recycling fees on your behalf. If you manufacture and sell professional use or B2B equipment, we also provide a web-based WEEE collection and recycling system to allow companies to manage the collection and recycling of their products at the end of life, which comply fully with WEEE shipment requirements in each country. And finally, as we're talking about open scope, well, anyone subscribing to our WEEE Update service means that they can track and monitor country implementations of EU WEEE open scope, and we inform your company of these changes. Our EC4P system will adapt to gather any equipment sales data in the correct reporting format as product scope changes are implemented in each country. And we can even help your company to determine whether or not your products will be falling under open scope provisions, or whether they may actually qualify for an Article 2 exclusion that we've seen today. We can also advise on which of the new 6 product categories in the WEEE Recast Directive your products will fall into, and of course the timelines for doing so in each EU member state. Now, you would have heard me mention James and EC4P a number of times today, so what I'd like to do now is pass you over to James to give you a demonstration of how EC4P is being used by manufacturers to gather and manage equipment, as well as batteries and packaging sales data in the correct reporting format for each country. And this in turn ensures that they can comply with the WEEE batteries and packaging reporting obligations across the world, including Europe. Okay, thanks, James. Over to you.
Thanks very much, Howard, and hello to everyone, all of the attendees joining today's webinar. And also thank you, Howard, for that really kind and thorough introduction, as well as for running the first half of today's webinar and providing that really valuable information about the new WEEE Open Scope. So I will be running the second half of today's webinar, which will, as Howard has previously mentioned, consist of a guided demo of the EC4P system. And to effectively demonstrate the system, I'll be using an example manufacturing company which sells products into and across Europe. And I'll demonstrate this account to show how EC4P, along with the managed compliance services which Howard has just been through, can be used to really simplify the product compliance process and ensure your company is compliant with the new requirements of the WEEE Open Scope. So before switching over to the browser and starting the demo, I'd like to just run through a couple of slides which give a high-level overview of the services which Howard's just been through, and of the EC4P system as well, just to give a bit of context before we actually dive into the software. So the main overall benefit that EC4P can bring is to give companies an easier way to take control of product compliance with a centralized approach to compliance management. Now, the first aspect in delivering this approach is EC4P's team of expert compliance consultants who can really quickly and accurately assess companies' obligations. This, as we've seen, is dependent on the sales arrangements and product types a company is selling into any particular country. Our consultants can then provide cost-effective registration and reporting solutions. This actually will include a cost comparison and recommendation of the best registration option, considering your company's products and sales arrangements, as well as the identification of schemes open to unique requirements, such as overseas companies or specific industry product types. We can then also manage those memberships that we've set up going forward, including the completion and submission of all documentation and forms where possible. EC4P can also actually pay recycling fees in each country on behalf of its customers and invoice at cost, with the benefit there being the customer only has to set up one supplier account rather than separate accounts for every registration that they need to ensure their compliance. Now, in addition to these services, our consultants can also monitor any laws and regulations in any given countries where you are not currently required to comply with local regulation, but where in the future you may need to do so. So EC4P consultants can actually monitor those laws and regulations and notify you of any changes which are applicable to your company and product range when they occur. Now, the second aspect of delivering this centralized approach is the EC4P software platform itself, which provides a registration and data reporting summary, including a repository of all relevant documentation and contracts. EC4P displays all upcoming reporting deadlines which are specific to your company and which you as a user have been made responsible for, and we'll dig in a bit more to that when we have a look at the software. Now, considering that many of these deadlines have different reporting periods and different deadline dates, this management of upcoming reporting deadlines can really be seen as a very valuable management tool. EC4P will actually chase users to enter sales data for these deadlines as they approach via sending out email notifications directly to the users which are made responsible for those deadlines. EC4P will also check that the data is entered in the correct format for that particular compliance scheme and in line with the country regulations there. And EC4P will then issue annual compliance certificates, one each for the WEEE batteries and packaging directives, and these compliance certificates will list the countries and the associated regulations your company has maintained compliance with using EC4P. And these compliance certificates we found are a very efficient way that companies can communicate compliance with the likes of authorities, auditors, any internal stakeholders, and also with customers who may ask for evidence of your product compliance. So now that I've just reiterated some of the managed compliance services that Howard's been through, as well as giving a brief overview of some of the benefits that can be found when using EC4P, I'd like to move on to the actual demo itself. So we've actually set up a demonstration account for a company called Acme Electronics, which you can see the logo of on the screen now. Now, can be thought of as an electronics manufacturer selling products into multiple EU member states, as well as other countries around the world, and who are using EC4P to achieve product compliance in those countries. So I'll head over to ec4p.com to get started.